Peace, peace, peace. Live on this Sunday. Just wanted to connect and just share some updates. It's a beautiful Sunday where I am. Look like it might rain a bit. Just wanted to come on and thank everyone that has been donating thus far, and just to share my vision and my goals, and just, I guess, a part of my story, and give y'all some updates. So I've been fundraising for about, give or take, 4 days now. And, okay, slow connection. Let's see. Yeah, move closer to the door. Right here. Peace, peace. So I just wanted to come on live and really give thanks for all the support. And I just wanted to share and update what has been going on in my world and what I'm up to. If you follow me online, you see that I've been fundraising for enrollment in midwifery school. It's been a journey over the years of, interest in so many things, and midwifery has always been one of them, especially after, witnessing my first birth at the age of 16 when my mother was pregnant, then having my own child 8 months later, then about 3 or 4 years later having my first wild pregnancy and free home birth, with only my child's father and I present. So all of these experiences impacted me to, want to birth in a more conscious and holistic way, and to support other women to do the same. So I'm raising $6,000 to pay for midwifery school. The enrollment ends 11/11. And I'm just excited about the support I've gotten thus far. I can't see who's online, but it shows me I have some views. But I've been wanting to be a midwife since after my first home birth in 2008. I went on to have 3 home births total, wild and free pregnancies, which is like not going to any doctors, but listening to my body and caring for myself how I know holistically. And it's been an empowering journey to experience that, and to trust the process of birth, and to trust my body, and then also empowering others to do the same. I've had some pretty few really memorable birth experiences. One of them was a hospital birth. This was for a woman that I connected with in my teenage years, Sharonda, when I was about 15, 16, 17. I worked at this food place making Philly cheesesteaks in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. And Sharonda was like the partner of my boss. And at that time, she had 2 twin boys that were around my age. And then, man, this was like 5 years later, when I was in my 20s, she got pregnant again, and she was like about almost 40, which they call in the medical industry a geriatric pregnancy. And when she had her twin boys, she had a C-section. Now, being 40 or 40 plus, the doctors were telling her not to try for a vaginal birth, to have not to have a VBAC. So VBAC is what they call a vaginal birth after a C-section. So they were adamantly telling her that she should not aim for a VBAC. Me, with my experience and knowledge, I gave her the information. I really empowered her to let her know that if that's what you want to do, and there are no life-threatening medical conditions, there's no reason why you can't have a vaginal birth after having a C-section. At that time, her partner wasn't involved, or things were shaky, and I ended up accompanying her to the hospital and literally walking her and empowering her through the birth process, and she was able to have a vaginal birth. And that was one of the most memorable birth experiences, because I got to cut the umbilical cord in that experience, and we got to share and bond on another deeper level as friends from my teenage years, and then supporting her in birth. Another memorable birth experience was the birth of my friend's child. At that time she lived in Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia, and she was pretty much like me, very holistic minded, bucked the system, and she asked me to support her for her home birth. So it was me and her partner, and I was the only birth keeper present, and she had a water birth, and I empowered her to have the type of birth that she wanted, and that was a very beautiful experience. So I've had the privilege and the pleasure of having empowering births for myself, and knowing the power of birth and the power and the intelligence of the female body and its natural ability to give birth. I come from that lens and perspective that the body knows how to give birth and what to do. Sometimes it's our mind that slows down the process, whether if it's our emotions and fears regarding birth, all the things that we've been conditioned to believe about birth, all of that can really hamper on the process and flow of birth and labor. So I wanted to be a midwife since 2018. At that time I had my daughter, and then I had 2 more children. And, I decided to raise my children very unconventionally, home birthing them, homeschooling them, freeschooling them. So it put me in a different perspective where I wasn't going to work for someone else. Most of my time was spent at home, raising my children, healing and raising myself, and then also working in my own passion and business in the healing arts, whether if it was a doula or doing massage and body work, reflexology, or teaching and making vegetarian and vegan foods, a whole host of things. But I have that experience and perspective with birth and holistic health and healing. And at that time I knew that midwifery is a very demanding job. Births can go on for days and, long hours and nights, and, time that would be taken away from my children. So I made the decision to wait, until my children were a lot older before I dived into midwifery studies and really attending births more on a consistent basis. So over the years, I've attended births here and there, gotten different doula clients, assisted different friends and things like that, but it was never on a full-time basis, because my focus was, and still is spending quality time with my children and really not missing these formative and important years. So over the years, I've known many midwives, and it's a very demanding job, a lot of hours spent away from their children and family. And I made the decision to delay that study and that in-depth work of a midwife, and to support women in other ways, whether if it's through the postpartum journey, because a lot of emphasis is put on pregnancy and birth, and a lot of times the ball is dropped when it comes to the postpartum time, which is a very important time for healing and integration after a birth. Not only does the woman give birth to a child, but she is giving birth to herself, because she comes out on the other side transformed for better or worse, and is no longer, a girl or a young woman or a woman. She's a mother. She becomes something totally new, and she has to adjust, healing physically, emotionally, depending on what her birth experience was like. And then having the support, which in today's society is very lacking. In many cultures, the first 40 days after a birth is very important. And in those cultures, the woman does not leave her house, and she does not do any work or labor. In some instances, she doesn't even lift the baby up. She feeds the baby and she rests. And, so I studied in the postpartum healing traditions, and, that just gave me another lens and love of birth and wanting to support and empower women. So I'm doing this campaign to raise the funds to enroll in midwifery school, because over the years, I don't, like I said, I chose to be very present with my children, not focusing on my career and working a full-time job, but being a stay-at-home mom and an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur gave me the flexibility to work when I could around my children's schedule, and to be there with them for all the time. Now that they're a little older now, and I feel settled where I am in Colombia, I'm just more drawn to jump back into midwifery and to study. Where I am on the Pacific coast of Colombia, there's a beautiful group of women here in parteras and healers, and there's also a big indigenous presence of the Kogi tribe. And, I do see the need for midwives and those that have the knowledge to really support the women in the community. And Spirit just put it on my heart to jump into this process of deeper study and to prepare myself to be able to support my community on a more expanded scale by getting the knowledge and more of the experience that I need to be a midwife. So I want to thank you all for donating and sharing my campaign. Keep it going. The enrollment deadline is 11/11, and about now I raised $1,000, $300. So the midwifery tuition is usually $11,000 from Indie Birth Midwifery School. They have a special going where the tuition is now $5,555, and they're offering various payment plans. One way is to just pay it up front, which is what I really prefer to do, so that I don't have any other monthly bills that are already weighing on my housing, food, and things that I do on a daily basis. So I'm trying to raise the $6,000 to just pay it off. At the very least, if I can do a down payment and then do monthly payments, that's also an option. But like I said, I'd rather just pay it off so I don't have another bill on top of like my daily living expenses and taking care of my children, so that I can basically just focus on studying and, not worrying about an extra bill and having to figure out where that money will come from. So yeah, I'm very excited and really blown away by the support of my community, and I'm just grateful. I am grateful. It's been a while of being on this journey and traveling and looking for a home, and now that I found my home in my community and I really feel settled in Colombia, Spirit just put it on my heart that now is the time to get on to the next chapter of my journey, and that is just immersing myself into women's studies, midwifery, and birth. So I want to thank you for watching, listening to my update. Please continue to follow my progress. Donate if you haven't donated already, and also to share my fundraising efforts on your page to, just garner their support from those that you're connected to. This initiative was really put on my heart by Spirit because there's so many women, especially women of color, that want to be midwives. Many of them are already mothers, and they just don't have the finances to pay for midwifery school on top of working and already taking care of their children and other, expenses of life. So Spirit told me community funded is the way. One person that might not have it to give me all the $6,000 up front, but if 1,000 people donated $6, then I would have all the funds that I need. So community funded is a template where other people can use it to fund their education, whether it be midwifery or anything else, or to fund a project like a small business or anything else that you're trying to do, especially if it's going to empower and uplift your community. If someone's going to do community work anyway and serve the community, it's more fitting for the community to support them so that they can step in that capacity and that role. We spend a lot of money giving money to these corporations that are really not for our highest benefit and good, whether if it's Starbucks and Walmart or whoever. We spend a lot of money on things that we don't necessarily need. So what if you can divest some of those funds from those big corporations and actually give it to small businesses, families, mothers, those in your community that need support to pursue and achieve their goals and visions. This is community funded. I'm looking and I'm envisioning, and I know and trust that it's going to be a successful campaign where I'm going to get all of the $6,000 to pay for my tuition. I know it is, and then it's going to be inspiring and be a template for other people or student midwives to follow to also fund their education and make their dream come true of attending midwifery school and not having to stress about how it's going to happen. In the United States, there are, traditional midwifery schools, and these schools do not qualify for regular FAFSA or student financial aid. So a lot of midwives have to come up out of pocket to pay for midwifery school. And then also if you're a student midwife and you're apprenticing with a midwife, a lot of that labor is unpaid. So you're working for free and you're also paying for school. The deadline for enrollment is 11/11. Mara, it's 11/11 is the deadline. So it's coming up, but I know it's possible if everyone donates and shares this to their network. This is the power of community. Moving forward, we're going to need each other more and more as these systems, as we see, are breaking down, inflation, all these things that are happening. We need community more and more. And I mean, I believe a midwife really embodies community. Because when you look at history and traditionally, midwives are the healers of the community. They care for women and children, but they also were connected to herbs and sacred plants that could, heal other people in the community. So I am very grateful to be, on this journey once again, and to stepping into this role of, partera and healer. I've been, in that role for a long time in various capacities, but now I'm looking to expand and to deepen my knowledge into midwifery so I can support my community and the women that are here, because I live about 2 hours from a major city and there's not a hospital here. I often see pregnant women and they have to go and travel away from their community to give birth. Thank you for sharing this live. To donate, You can go on my page. There is Cash App. I use Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and Venmo. So all of that information is on my my Facebook page. I have other posts there that shares how you can donate and things like that. This time I chose not to like use another platform like GoFundMe, because they do take a percentage of the donations, and it just made sense that people just donate directly to me. Let me see, anything else that I did not cover. Peace, Raquel, girl, connect with me. But I just, shared a little bit of my history and my passion and love for midwifery, that I'm raising funds for enrolling in this midwifery program, why I chose to undertake this education now, because my children are a little bit older and I have more time, and I'm also living in a community on the Caribbean coast of Colombia, and the closest hospital is 2 hours away, and women also have to leave the community to go to the hospital and to birth. There are a community of healers and women here, and I'm looking to expand and grow that. So as I learn, I'm looking to share the information about midwifery and birth to others in my community, and to just expand this knowledge and grow. If you're in the United States, and you're knowledgeable about the maternal mortality rates, which are higher for women of color in the hospitals, like Black women, women of color are dying at a higher rate than their white counterparts. And that is due to several reasons. There's biases in the medical industry. Oh, my battery's really low. So there's biases in the medical industry, really originating from slavery, where, they were taught that Black people do not feel pain like other races. So a lot of those biases were actually embedded into the medical industry and continues today. And a lot of the inner city and urban environments, you have doctors and medical professionals that are white or have no connection to the Black community and the Black experience. And there it becomes like a disconnection and a lack of compassion and sympathy for birthing women and Black women. So, they just don't listen to us and hear our plight in the same way that white women are heard. And this doesn't have anything to do with like wealth or how much money you have or your socioeconomic status, because it was one of the Venus sisters that almost died in her birth, because they weren't listening. The medical industry and the doctors were not listening to her. They did not trust a woman to know, to trust that she knew about her body and to listen to her. So there's many cases where women, Black women, who die at a higher rate, 3 to 4 times higher than their white counterparts, they're not returning home from a hospital birth, something that is supposed to be safe. They're dying. We're dying. So there is the myth that hospital births are the safest, but it's shown that it's not. If you're healthy and you don't have any complications that require, serious intervention, the best place to birth and labor is at home. In an environment that is familiar to you, in an environment that is warm and friendly, in an environment that you're familiar with the microbiomes and the bacteria that is in your home. When you go to a hospital, you're introduced to so much different pathogens and a foreign microbiome. The medical industry has painted birth to be a medical emergency instead of a natural and normal, like human, part of human existence. And it is. It's one of the most natural, next to sex and death. It's natural. Our bodies have evolved for thousands of years to know how to give birth. A lot of what we're going through is the deprogramming and the deconditioning and connecting to our bodies and the wisdom that we hold within it, reconnecting with nature, our divinity, our inner knowing, and the wealth of information that is held within us, that is passed down through our DNA ancestrally. You know, in the healing world, you hear a lot about generational patterns or, generational curses. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien. But you never really hear about your ancestral gifts and blessings. They come through you. That intelligence, that wisdom, that love, that power is within you, and your ancestors are walking with you. And this has been my journey with birth, one that has been very spiritually connected and empowering, really empowering me to trust my body and to trust birth. And I know that a lot of women go through a similar process, or they can go through a similar process if they have the right information and the right support. So this is my journey back into midwifery, into the birth world. I want to thank you for donating and sharing. If you haven't donated yet, go to my page and donate and to share one of my posts with your network. The enrollment for midwifery school deadline is on 11/11. So I'm about 1/6 of the way there. I raised $1,300, and I'm looking to raise $6,000 to cover the $5,555 tuition. And then I also need to buy a computer. My MacBook, after only 3 years, kind of broke on me. I don't know how or why, but it's not working. And my phone also went down. So, a lot of just shifts and changes that are happening. But I have full faith and trust that it will happen, because this was something that was put on my heart by spirit. And, even all the posts I make are really guided and inspired in this community funded movement. It was shown to me that it's a template that we can utilize to empower our community and to support each other to make our dreams and visions a reality. So thank you for listening to me. If you're listening to this later, peace and blessings to you. One love.